Well, that's it for the year, Paul.
Hey, and what a year it's been, huh?
It has, eh?
Jeez, it's been it's flown by quite quickly. Hey, I can't believe it's actually the end of 2022.
Yeah,
for
it's
us already.
nuts. That's
But-
nuts.
Yeah.
Highs and lows?
Hey, there's a long list of highs, and I suppose a long list of lows as well. But let's kick off with two things. I think we did very well this year overall in hitting all the targets that we set out for ourselves, both with the podcast, work-wise, I suppose in our personal lives as well. And tethered to that, we hit episode 100.
Yeah, that was a big one.
That was a massive high for us.
Mm.
And so two of the biggest things I could definitely think of right off the cuff.
Yeah, Sam, for me, obviously, that number 100 was a big one. You're kind of not a real podcast until you've got to that 100 mark.
Yeah.
So that was a big one. But there were a lot of complications this year, I suppose, as well. Obviously, leading from the previous year where work wasn't quite at full swing as it was this year. I mean, we started off in January. It was busy. And to try and fit in the podcast every week was a challenge. Got easier as the year went on because we made it a bit of a routine how we did it. But one or two changes we're going to have to do next year to make sure we fit it in nicely. But nonetheless, it was never a negotiable. It wasn't like, let's negotiate when are we going to do the podcast. It was, we are doing the podcast. And for me, that's been like quite a big thing because without that, without being firmly committed to it, we never would have carried on. You know, obviously a lot of thanks to you, Paul, for being here every week and that as well, because it's one thing to, the podcast itself, an hour every week, that's fine, but not an hour every week. There's a lot more that goes into it. You know, if you want to, you can look a real muppet if you sit on the show and try and chat and you don't actually know what you're talking about. So, yeah, a lot of work every week, but now that it's become part of that routine, I would say it's a lot easier because it's part of a routine. But a life lesson there as well, I think.
No, exactly. Look, I mean, we've always said the consistency is key. And I think one of the big mantras that we've held ourselves to is that if we go back on this at any given point, stop podcasting or, just let it slide or get a little bit too laxy-daisy about it, we're letting ourselves down.
Yeah, we're going to be disappointed.
And both you and I are hell-bent on, never letting that happen. I mean, we came out of this whole COVID thing, leaving the airline job or losing the airline job rather, hell-bent on, let's make something out of this. And I think that's been the big motivator, coupled with the two of us, really pushing each other on every week. I mean, there are times where, you've been exceptionally busy, tired, or, not into it, and I'm on the other end of the spectrum, vice versa. And we've got to pick each other up. There's that sort of yin-yang balance type thing going, which has been great for the both of us. And that's why we operate as well as a team. So,
yeah, I think there's a lesson there as well. Part of the, one of the sort of pillars we started the podcast on was maybe providing a bit of support to those that didn't have it, but also sort of encouraging people to go and do something. And one of the things that you picked up a while back on one of the shows was, what was the title of your? I think you actually wrote something about it. You pick someone to go and do something with. Don't do it alone. I think
that's right. Yeah. I wrote a little blog about it. Yeah, don't go it alone, because it is a hell of a lot harder to do things on your own. I mean, you're going to have that self-doubt, and then that you're not going to have that constant push from someone else's perspective saying, "No, come on, man, let's try it again."
Yeah, we committed. We're doing it.
Exactly. I mean, we've seen it with the podcast. We've had shows where we high five each other afterwards, like that was the best episode we've ever done. Other ones where we go like, yes, that was cuck, and then you doubt yourself, but we always back the next week, try it again, and then we learn from what works and what doesn't. And I mean, that's what's great about it. And if you're going to do something that's fun and worthwhile.
Yes.
And like this is for us.
Yeah.
And I think that's why the consistency is always there as well, because we dig this.
We do. And I think you make a good point there. If we did a podcast every time we felt like doing a podcast, we wouldn't have
No,
Sometimes you really don't feel like coming and sitting here and articulating your thoughts.
yeah.
But it's those days when you don't want to do it that you do push something out that you feel really good about it. And those have been some of the better shows. I really enjoyed last week's show. Our last news-based show for the week, last week's show was really good. A lot of comments, a lot sort of bit edgy, I suppose, because of the whole SAA thing that keeps popping up from time to time.
Yeah.
But what was nice with that is we were able to kind of commentate on what's out there and what we see. And I think that's made a big difference in trying to find our niche in the market. Is we're not the ones going out there having a whole whack of opinions about what's going on. The fact of the matter is aviation has changed a lot over the last 12 months. The airlines locally and internationally have changed a lot. And there's a hell of a lot going on in terms of, their own growth. I mean, look at our local airlines here, how quickly they are growing and expanding, and the limitations that they have, and obviously all the negative things that come with that as well. Yeah. News articles out this week about a couple of technical issues, and you wonder what's going to happen in the next 12 months. Are these airlines going to adapt to this rapid growth? You wouldn't put it past our local airlines. They've done a really good job, but on the other hand, there needs to be someone there like us that comments on it. This is what happened. This is what we see from our professional perspective. And let's face it, Ryan, but I'm confident now to say it. We commentating on the aviation travel industry from a relatively good perspective because we've got the background in actually flying the aircraft.
Yeah, exactly.
So not many other guys out there doing an aviation podcast actually have real-time experience flying, and those that do are all bombing around for an airline, and they're a little bit PC'd on what they're allowed to say or what they're not that keen to say. So I think that puts us in a bit of a niche market, and if you want to hear the truth, you want to know what's going on, they're the guys that you're going to come to.
100%. I mean, I think have found that groove, which has taken a while to develop, and also, find out exactly where you fit in this whole thing. But I think we call bullshit where we see it. We do that very well. And obviously, as aviation has started to, recover and bounce back really well, it's opened up things for a lot of these scamsters out there, guys that are trying to take advantage of vulnerable people out there. We've seen that a lot. And luckily, we've been sharp enough to identify it and then have the odd say at it and hopefully create a bit of awareness.
It's a difficult one, that one, because you don't want to go one of these scamsters. You don't want to go run them down straight away without giving them an opportunity too, because they're also genuinely trying to start something, and maybe calling it a scamster could be viewed in the wrong way. But we know how difficult it is to go and start an airline.
Yeah.
And even if they do get it going, Ryan, there are people waiting around to go and fly for one of these airlines or work for one of these airlines. It's going to take a hell of a long time before they actually get going.
Exactly.
They might get going at some point. That'll be great for the industry, but you can't wait around waiting to go get a job to go fly one of the aircraft. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah. I think what I was trying to get to there was, I think we've been in this industry long enough to know when you can see that a potential startup probably will get going and when one won't.
Mm-hmm.
And, there's a lot of people pinning false hopes on top of that. But anyway, nevertheless, like we were saying, to get together every week and, thrash this kind of stuff out it's big fun.
It is.
And, I'm hoping that we'll do a hell of a lot more of it next year. And we were having a conversation the other day saying, well, let's try and do 2 episodes. And I think we should. How are we going to get it right time-wise? Don't know yet.
Well, 2 different shows.
Yes.
I think is important.
Yeah.
I think the Bryan Air show is a nice one from an aviation news perspective. Once a week, get the things, get the information, have a bit of a chat. That's what we kind of enjoy. We're lucky in a way. A lot of the information comes to us it's got a lot easier in that regard. You know where to find the stuff, and we really enjoy that side. But I think there is a gap to go and do something else, and we'll look at that in the new year. But Ryan, you got a couple of kids at home, happy wife, happy life type of vibe as well. You got to make it work at home. You got to, obviously, work comes first in a lot of ways. And then you've got the podcast, which you could almost regard as a hobby. I don't actually look at the podcast as a hobby anymore. It's just part of it's like a lifestyle thing. It's part of your life.
Yeah.
I think that was a big jump, becoming, when you're going to take the shift from being this is just what we do for a bit of fun to this is now what we do, and it's part of our weekly structure. That's made a big difference, and it's definitely got us here every week. If it wasn't for that, I think that also it would have been very, very difficult.
No, definitely, man. I mean, you got to take it that seriously. So no, I totally agree. It's definitely gone way past the hobby phase.
Yeah.
We've invested a hell of a lot into the show. Now, let's just take into account all the gear that we've acquired throughout the year. We, again at the beginning of the year said, listen, well, let's make sure we get the absolute best out of our audio quality again and ramp it up as best we possibly can. We got a hold of the Rodecaster Pro 2 throughout the year.
Yep.
Upgraded the cameras a bit, and so yeah, there's a hell of a lot that's gone into it to just take it to that level where perhaps it will morph into a full-time professional gig.
Yeah, that's the long-term plan for sure.
Yeah.
Aviation highs and lows through the year. We've mentioned the local airlines here a lot. There's definitely been this sort of crazy growth.
Yeah, look, the fact that we're now at the end of 2022 and, airlines are saying, shit, we're running out of CVs is such a high note. I mean, really hadn't anticipated that it would be at these levels so early. So, yeah, I mean, it's great.
It's caught everyone by surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's been good. The pilots that didn't have jobs, cabin crew that didn't have jobs, now have jobs, they're working, and they've got choices.
Yeah, options.
You don't have to stay here. You can move abroad. A lot of people are moving abroad. Spoken a lot about the expertise moving abroad, which could be a bit of a problem here locally in South Africa. I see that happening more and more. Cam Easton posted something. He got his EASA license the other day. He's one of many that are going to finish their EASA licenses in 2023. No doubt that's high on the list of a lot of aviators' New Year's resolutions for next year. And you might find a mass exodus of skilled pilots out of South Africa, particularly the youngsters. I genuinely see that happening. On the one regard. On the other regard, those guys that wouldn't have had the opportunity to go to a company like Safi or Airlink now have the opportunity. So maybe that's encouragement to stay in South Africa, apply your trade here, and you get that opportunity to go fly a decent aircraft at a decent airline and earn a decent wage.
Yeah, no, I agree. I definitely see a skills shortage, particularly in South African aviation coming. Lots of highly qualified, well-experienced, good guys leaving for overseas. I was having a chat with an ATC friend of mine the other day, and ATNS have got the same problem.
Mm-hmm.
All the highly qualified, experienced controllers are finding better opportunities overseas in the Middle East and everything, much, much better pay, better working conditions. And it's another sector of aviation that's going to get hard hit if they don't address that very soon.
Yeah, so something to keep an eye on there.
Yeah.
We're obviously very pro South African aviation and African aviation in general. We've based the podcast on it, so we want to see it remaining strong.
Yeah. Well, for us, this is home. I mean, I don't think
we're not going anywhere.
Yeah, we got a lot of shit to put up with.
Yeah,
Eskom, despite whatever redundancies you put in place.
You brought it up now. we started the show. We did something slightly different yesterday. We did a bit of a collaboration with World Air News. Different type of show, not the normal Bryan Air Podcast type of show. I'm not pushing it out as a podcast. Didn't meet the criteria to push out as a podcast. Wasn't the right quality, but so we're not pushing it out. Start the show this morning. We say, Ryan, no, let's be here early in the morning. Start the show. 10 minutes into the show, power off. not scheduled load shedding, just a straight power failure. All the equipment stops running, requires a full reset.
Yeah.
And we're using this as an example. This is us trying to run a podcast that you do once a week.
Yeah.
Go try run a business.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's just chaotic. So it's been very difficult for a lot of South Africans this last year. We almost, at times, you make fun of the load shedding and you kind of live with it, and you deal with the fact that you might be in traffic half an hour longer than you normally are, and your generator at home. I mean, I know you're the same. We don't exactly run our generator all day long at home because you can't afford it at the current fuel prices. So we've learned to adapt to this rather absurd way of living, and little things in South Africa that we are proud of, like our aviation and travel industries rebound. The fact that we're going to be, borrowing or buying power from Mozambique, once the poorest nation in the world, is just absolutely ludicrous that we're in this situation. But here we are, we've started it up again. So if there was a little bit of a jink there between where the power went off and where it came back on,
yeah,
that's what it was.
That was Eskom and not us nipping out for a quick whiskey, unfortunately. But
yeah,
I know it boils down to, if you're talking about highs and lows throughout the year, I think one of the biggest lows is the fact that we've had to deal with so much more because of that. And, you have to up your resilience. We end up making fun of it because that's who we are as South Africans. We'll always turn something that's
into
pretty
a positive.
Yeah, and most of the time have a laugh at it. This is how we are. But, I mean...
hasn't made life easy.
Not by any stretch of the imagination, eh? Jeez.
Yeah, that's a big low for me. The load shedding, obviously heavily affected us on the business side of things, but managed to work our way around it at major expenses. And like I said, a lot of other companies, industries dealing with this in South Africa at the moment. And if there is that opportunity to shift your business into another country, well, then, of course, people are doing it. So that's a big negative. But let's look on the positive side. We've got a bit of a break coming up. I've told everyone what I'm doing over the early December period. So that's why this is our last show for the year. And taking a little bit of an early break and really looking forward to it and traveling through South Africa by vehicle for a change. And, it is a wonderful country. There's a lot to see. There's a lot to do. And I guess it's why we're still here. So got to see the positive for what it is, make the most of it, and still encourage people to come and see our wonderful country.
Yeah, 100%, man. No, we do definitely have a lot to still enjoy. And I mean, the small things in life, what I still really enjoy is the fact that, we've got such great weather.
Yeah.
I love making a fire. So Bryan 2, 3, 4 times a week when I get the gap, cold beer, seeing your mates, family,
all those
often
good
enough,
things.
that's what counts for me. So that's why I'm still here. And my plans for December, not going away anywhere. My wife is in the aviation industry and they're going to be pretty damn busy over this whole period. So I've been awarded the daddy daycare card. I'm going to be doing a lot more babysitting.
Good job.
But no, looking forward to spending time with the kids and being with the family in general. And also just tapering off a bit, winding down and recharging the battery so that we can hit the ground running again next year.
Yeah.
And, hopefully just come out swinging as hard as we did at the beginning of 2022.
No doubt we will. A few thank yous that we got to make as well to everyone that listened, everyone that supported us through the year. It's been a big year of growth for the podcast, and it's sort of moved in waves. I think during the early parts of the pandemic, a lot of people, listening to us for the first time. Now a lot of people know us quite well and still trying to spread and grow the show. But thank you to everyone that has tuned in, that has listened, that has shared the podcast, that has reviewed the podcast. Really made a big difference, and owe you all a lot. Looking forward to having you back next year. Don't forget during that break to share that show, share our show with others and your friends and family who might enjoy our stuff. Obviously, the plan for us is to keep doing the show regardless. We haven't monetized the show for anyone that's interested. At this stage, it's just Ryan and I. We get here, we dedicated to doing it, but we haven't monetized the show. But I think next year will be the right time. We're looking at bringing in a few sort of corporate sponsors and that are available to us now, either locally or through the podcasting service host. So we're still trying to figure that side of things out. So yeah, Bryan Air Podcast will be going professional in 2023. There's no doubt about that.
100%. Yeah, I'm very excited at that. I mean, growing this and seeing it just get to new levels is super exciting.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, for us to get better and better at this. I laughed, I was thinking a bit about it last night, about the highs and lows. And, doing podcasting for starters, how we've had to just get better at this thing slowly but surely. The whole 10,000 hours of doing something. I have a good chuckle because there's often times when you're recording it that you make odd stuff ups.
Yes.
And when you start this out, you can really make mountains out of molehills.
Yes.
And I laugh because like yesterday we were doing that live show, and I've still got this thing sometimes where you'll say, "How's it, pal?" Kick this thing off, and then I'm normally going to say, "How's it, Kaz?" or "How's it, pal?"
Yeah.
And sometimes I fuck it up. And yesterday was one of those days I said, "How's it, Paz?" And I'm like, "What was?"
I didn't even notice that yesterday, to be honest.
I remember those. But it's like funny stuff, but small things that we'll just polish out. I'll try not to do that too many more times.
Yeah,
but,
I didn't even notice that yesterday. I'm the same. Sometimes we release a show and I say, geez, I hope anyone doesn't pick up that I actually made a mistake there or said the wrong thing there.
Yeah.
But for the most part, our viewers kind of give us the leeway on that one.
Yeah, I think they understand, They give us the latitude. We still are two ex-airline pilot Muppets that are looking this podcast.
Trying their hand at something else. One thing I am going to do next year, but I think it's a bit of a lesson to us. When people come to us for not favors is not the right word, but a bit of promotion every now and again or collabs or things like that, get a big kick out of doing it sometimes, but also sometimes you got to learn to say no. It's like if you say no to something, you open up the opportunity to go and do something else. So say no to more things, and I don't mean that in a negative way at all, but certainly it does open up the opportunity then to keep refining your own product. And maybe this year, through the year, particularly in the beginning of the year, maybe we got a bit sidetracked with one or two things. I would have liked to have pushed our community a bit more, Ryan, and done a lot more on that side. That is part of the big plan for next year. I'm going to keep that going on Discord and make sure that side of the business really runs properly. But you have to start it. You have to have the platform there for it to get going. So I'm glad all that stuff is going. Merchandise is another thing as well.
Yeah.
New shirts for us, caps, things like that. They make a difference on the branding. And I know a few people are quite keen on getting one or two of those things. So that's definitely part of it for next year.
Yeah. Look, I mean, again, this year was all about just putting a few of the other building blocks into place.
Yeah.
And maybe next year we can just really assemble this whole thing nicely, bolt it up and crack on. And I am very excited as well about the prospect of doing another show about other things alongside this, and just to see where that goes.
Yeah, just as a bit of an experiment.
Yeah, I mean it's coupled to a couple of other interests and passions that we've got, and no doubt I think there's going to be a great amount of success from that one as well. So.
No doubt, I think so.
Yeah,
Ryan, let's wrap it up for the year. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Paul. Have a good break. When are we going to be back? Early Jan?
Yeah, early to mid-Jan, I think we said that.
Early to mid-Jan. Yeah, we won't commit to a date just on today, but early Jan, we'll be back, taking off last week in November and December as our major break through the year. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for the year. Have a wonderful, have a wonderful Christmas. Stuff happy holidays. Have a wonderful Christmas and New Year, and look forward to seeing you back early in 2023.
Yeah, from our side, guys, thanks very much for everything. It's been a great year. Lots of fun. You travel safe. Enjoy your holiday, family time. Take it easy. Enjoy the break. Come back well rested, and we'll hit it hard. 2023. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers, pal.